Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story that underscores the power of speaking up in the workplace. A few years ago, at a former company, our OP found herself in a challenging situation. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Take notes of everything you say in the meeting? Okay, but it'll get you fired. So this happened a few years ago, and I'll be vague since I'm still not sure if the dust is fully settled from this fiasco yet. At my former company, I was the secretary for a small improvement team that would meet monthly to discuss issues within the company and brainstorm ways to fix them. Something you need to know about me is that I was given this role because people know I am meticulous at keeping records due to HR-related issues I had at a previous place of employment. I don't think my boss realized that this careful record-keeping applied to her as well, especially when she appointed me to be secretary of this little committee. But I digress. I was a model employee, read award-winning, and went above and beyond what was asked, as were many others in my department, but we were still having customer complaints and dealt with regular safety issues due to the company at large and through no fault of our own. When we brought these concerns to our boss's attention, emails were left unread, and during in-person exchanges, we were called whiny, needy, and were told that we needed to just deal with it. Whatever the issue, from items being stolen by customers to people being unhappy with the procedures the boss had set down for us to follow, it was always made to somehow be our fault. When we sought support from other departments, we were met with cold indifference since the boss was great to them, and we must be exaggerating the things she said to us. Well, during an improvement meeting at the end of the fiscal year, it all came to a head. Myself and a couple of my team members dug in our heels and were insistent about the unresolved issues the boss refused to acknowledge, and she finally went off on us. She told us everyone was incompetent, didn't deserve our jobs, and that maybe customers would like us more if we were more likable. When people pressed her on safety issues, she continued to reiterate that we would just have to deal with it, and that if someone was going to die, they already would have, right? I, as the secretary, did my duty and took notes of all that happened over the course of that meeting. I usually did bullet points, but that night I was feeling a little more thorough, so I wrote down words. Every word that was said, every hateful comment, denial of accountability, and idle threat was recorded in black and white. Now, a second part of my job was to distribute the notes from the improvement meeting to the rest of the company. So come the next morning, I ran about 100 copies of the transcript of the meeting and hand-delivered them to every single department in the building, and things blew up. People from other departments who had attended the meeting were able to verify that everything I had typed up had really been said, and folks were mad, threatening to quit, refusing to do their normal duties, browsing Indeed during work, etc. My boss's boss, who worked at HQ, so I didn't get the opportunity to hand her a copy, got wind of these meeting minutes only a few hours after I'd handed them out and had an hour-long off-the-record conversation with me about all the safety issues I'd documented, all the concerns I'd submitted to management in writing, and all the records I had regarding my boss's inaction. She was very grateful for the 100 pages of documentation I sent over and thanked me for my time. The day after I unleashed Pandora's box, I put in my 2 weeks' notice, took a new job, and pieced out to greener pastures. At first, it seemed like things were calming down after I left, but the following year, the company did not renew my boss's contract. I still feel a bit bad because I wasn't trying to get her fired or ruin her life. I was just desperate for some accountability thrown her way to create some positive change in the company. But at the end of the day, I just did what she'd asked me to do. You don't need to feel bad. She neglected her duties and was fired for it. You, on the other hand, should feel proud, as you may have saved lives that would have been lost due to her negligence. And our second story. That one time I apparently didn't know where I worked. I recently binged on this sub, and several stories brought back memories from my 7 years in retail. This particular circumstance I can accurately pinpoint as the exact moment I stopped trying to politely correct/inform customers of their innocent misunderstandings and instead adopt the old faithful retail smile and nod. So I was working as the store manager of a children's shoe shop. My location was the flagship store in our city. At the risk of sounding conceited, I was damn good at my job and was also moonlighting as the staff trainer for our region. On this particular day in early December 2010, I was at another location helping the relatively new store manager to induct and train her gaggle of seasonal staff. It was around lunchtime on a Saturday, and the shop floor was absolutely slammed with screaming kids and their equally poorly behaved parents. I was shadowing one of the new hires while she attended to this woman, W, when I jumped in to answer a question she didn't know. W, holding up a little girl's shoe in black patent leather. Yes, I'm looking for a shoe for my daughter to wear to Christmas lunch with the family. I saw this one in cherry red at my home store, location a few months ago before they shut down. That was such a shame. They were much closer to my house. Now, here's the important part to this story. We did close down for one day in mid-September. My store underwent a refurbishment and moved to a larger tenancy within the same shopping center. We'd only been closed for one day, though, on a Thursday, as we moved all the stock to the new shop and reopened on Friday. We had signs up in the old location and were verbally informing all customers about this for the 4 weeks prior to the move. The new store was only 5 or 6 shop fronts away from the old one. You could see one from the other easily. Me. Oh, well, I've got good news for you then. My home store still exists. They only closed for one day when they moved a few stores down. They're still there in a beautiful new fit-out. W. No, they're not. This threw me. It should have been where I adopted the aforementioned retail trademark and steered the conversation back to the shoe in question. Alas, I could not. Me. Oh, they are. I'm actually the store manager of that location. Intense, polite retail smile. W. I shop there all the time, and they're definitely gone. Me. I can assure you they only moved, and I'm looking forward to having you see our new store. W. Look, I don't know why you're trying to argue with me. I was only at my home shopping center last week, and company is definitely not there. Are you new? Me. No, I've actually worked for company for 3 years at my home store. I'm just here today to do some training. W. So you are new. You're training. This is where I wise up and try to regain control of this runaway train and get the customer what she wants while I still have my sanity. Unfortunately, that can only be done with the help of the store that apparently doesn't exist. Me. Oh no, I meant I'm training other people. Anyway, my home store does in fact have this shoe in the cherry red that you're looking for. As it's the biggest store in the city, it carries colors that other stores don't. So that's the only place you can get it. I can put it on hold at my home store for you if you like. Wowee, she didn't like that. She rolled her eyes and scowled at me with utter contempt as if I was purposely sending her on a wild goose chase to a land of make-believe and cherry red patent effing Mary Janes. W. Are you effing kidding me? And with that, she dropped the shoe onto the floor, grabbed her daughter by the wrist, and stormed out. I tried to reassure the new hire that this was a rare occurrence, but my poker face isn't too strong, and I saw her die a little on the inside. Sure enough, Monday morning, an email popped up in the regional manager's inbox telling grand tales of horrible service and the feelings of belittlement from being blatantly lied to for some sick game. In a glorious twist of fate, though, my regional manager was off for work that week after minor surgery. So guess who was filling that role, including use of company phone and laptop? You betcha. Right-click, delete. In the bin with you. And our last story. Arrested my crazy neighbor. I had a problem neighbor for so many years. He terrorized the area. He was an addict and dealer, which is his business, but don't make it my issue. Thus, we always had unsavory people popping up, breaking into houses and cars, stealing packages, etc. I know it's to do with him because he had previously admitted that it was his friends doing it, and I've seen CCTV from other neighbors showing his friends damaging cars, etc. He's stolen bank cards that came in the mail, makes the most obnoxious amount of noise that wakes me up, and his friends/fiends almost always ring my bell in the dead of night around 2 or 3 a.m. I've shouted at them so many times and have argued with him, too. My neighbor has also been in prison multiple times for various things, including very serious crimes, so he'd do well to keep his head low as a free man, you'd think. We live in a house converted into apartments, where there are 4 apartments and a main area downstairs to walk through where mail goes. He always leaves the main door open, which I'd ask him not to so his friends can come and go. Sometimes they'd kick the door down and trash the area. Whenever I get a package and I wasn't home, the crappy couriers would leave the package unattended in the front garden or the main area outside my door, despite me instructing them not to. My package would be stolen by my neighbor/his friends in seconds. This went on for years, and when confronted, he'd deny it, but I knew it was him. Other 2 apartments are old people who I'm friendly with who also dislike him. The issue is I never had any proof. I once called the police after he wrote a note to me apologizing for his friend stealing my package, but that went nowhere. This time I wasn't going to let my over 250 pounds worth of stolen packages go amiss. I put up a camera in the main area. I saved the boxes from some other package and placed an apple and some plastic bags in there for weight, set them outside, and within 5 minutes they were stolen by his friend who hadn't seen the camera. Gotcha. I called the police, who commended me on my setup skills, and they came over, but by the time they did, the guy had left the building with packed bags that were definitely filled with illegal stuff to sell. They told me they'd look out for him. A few weeks after, I get a call from the police about it. I also told them he'd been terrorizing the area. They tell me they'd pay me a visit. 5 days go by, and at 7 a.m., I get a call from the same officer asking me to open the door quickly and quietly. I do, and she tells me to go inside, but not before I see about 15 plainclothes officers hiding behind a wall. I look through the peephole, and they all storm inside, boot down his door, and arrest everyone inside. This was all caught on the camera I bought, so I sent the footage to the landlord. The police also get in touch with the landlord, and thus my neighbor is evicted on top of it. This was a month ago. None of his mail's been picked up, and I'm getting a lot of joy out of this. Moral of the story, keep your hands to yourself. People shouldn't have to live in a state of anxiousness just because they have a crappy neighbor. I'm sorry this happened to you. I relished your revenge. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.